Alright guys, I hope you guys are doing amazing today. Now, in last video I told you guys to send in any questions you had or any chart analysis so I could help you out, maybe drawing the zones or anything you guys had problems with. Because it's usually just me talking over the analysis or me just doing the analysis. But if you guys have questions, you guys can always feel free to send them in. I'll get back to them. But I wanted to make this video especially to give you guys 2 days to send in any questions, any charts. And I want to keep this under 15 minutes, so let's just go through the questions. I have about a lot of questions are the same. All right, let's start with Brandon. My man, thanks very much for sending in this question. I see you a lot, and I appreciate this. He says, Euro Swiss weekly daily 4-hour analysis. I'm confused on which zones to take. Every single set and forget I take fails, and I'm not sure the best way to wait for confirmation. All right, well, let's see your analysis. Hopefully you guys can see all this. We're looking at Euro Swiss weekly. He has fresh weekly supply. Looks like more a reaction. We'll consider. Well, that's a good supply zone right up here. I like it. If you have it drawn out correctly, I noticed some of you guys have problems drawing it out, but the majority of you guys were pretty good at drawing them out. You guys have clearly watched that video, my tips video. It's a good one. So if you don't know how to draw it, check it out. But this is correctly drawn. This supply is correctly drawn. I would draw it like that too. As for demand, fresh weekly demand, yep, it's correctly drawn. As for your supply, you did have this marked up here. I was questioning this a bit because this is the next supply. This is a rally-based drop right here. Hopefully you guys can see us properly. I would include this as your next weekly supply level, and we're clearly in this range, right? I think I did that in my other analysis a couple of videos ago. We're in this range, so we're kind of buying low, selling high. This is the next fresh weekly supply because we did remove this demand area. So let's see your daily. Just tested daily supply and daily downtrend momentum. Yeah, you got the momentum down, you got daily supply. Yeah, I would draw it like that too. You could extend this line all the way up here, but this wick right here, what that tells me, it was a liquidity surge kind of into this zone right here. So here we had a drop, base drop, price came back up, tested it, dropped, and then price came back in again, tested it even deeper, and then dropped. And then while we were dropping, we created this drop, base drop. So that chart looks good. Now for your Euro Swiss, just tested 4-hour supply located within daily supply. Alright, so if this is located in daily supply, yeah, it's a good supply area. It's tested once, came down, came up, tested twice, so it went in a bit deeper. You can see if we had like 1,000 orders, maybe 500, 200 orders got taken out, and now if we want to find more sell orders, we have to look. Price has to go higher in to find more sell orders. There's not much else to it. Tested 4-hour demand created by removal of supply. Yeah, this was created by removing this. It was a drop-based rally. You can see it got tested. Just, depending on how you would draw it, could have gotten tested once, but here, if you drew it like this, it got tested and rallied out. You're wondering about entries. Let's see what I replied. Also, when should I look for certain time frames? I see you look at a lot of, You see me look at a lot of different time frames, wondering how do you fit all those into your analysis? Appreciate what you're doing. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, how I fit them all. Sometimes you guys see me switch from the weekly to the daily to the 4-hour. That's just telling me that's doing like a top-down analysis. I just want to understand where the money is. So if I'm looking for like swing trades or anything like that, I might look at the monthly chart and the weekly chart because that's going to tell me where the big money is. So for this price to drop all the way down here, this is billions and billions of dollars being sold here. So the whole concept of supply and demand is, for every buyer there's a seller, and we're trying to get on the institutional funds, banks on their side of the trade. So if we knew they saw value here, big drop, we don't know if they got all their orders filled here. So we're taking a probability guess chance that they're going to be looking to sell up here because they saw a lot of value with price up in here. So next time when price came up into the zone, I know that there's big money. That's telling me there's big institutional money sitting here. So then I might drop down into like the daily, right? And then maybe like the 4 hour. I might do my entry on the 4 hour, because if I know we're sitting in a weekly big supply zone, I'm like, hey, I don't want to take a big weekly trade. I don't want to be in that thing for weeks, possibly months, maybe even a year. So I might pop down into the 4 hour, and that's where you're going to see my entry time frame usually take place, because we're sitting in a weekly time frame. If I go down to, like, say we go into, this is multiple time frame analysis. It's a very complex thing, you could say. It's a hard thing to understand a bit, but it's very easy. If we were to have this supply zone right here marked out, I drew it like that. You could draw it like that if you wanted to. On the daily chart, you just see this as one candle, 2 candles. But if you go down into a 4 hour, you're going to see more candles. And if you go into the 1 hour, of course, you're going to see times 4 the amount of candles. And then this is what's going to tell you what's happening in this in our higher time frame. So if I was looking for daily trades, daily income trades, I might want to look at the daily, see what's happening on the daily. Where are the banks selling? Where are they buying and selling? And then I might take a trade on like the 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour. And if I don't want to set and forget, because I think that was one of your other questions, great EJ analysis. Thanks. I said, yeah, a set and forget trade is just taking a level by itself on your entry time frame. And a confirmation entry is when you're waiting for price to show you it's changing. It usually happens on smaller time frames, because price turns from inside out, it changes from smaller time frames to bigger time frames. So like I said, daily supply, you might want to drop into the 1 hour, 30 minutes, or 4 hour. You will see the action changing. I'll do a video on it, and that's what I'm doing. And then he said, thanks bro, looking forward to the new video. I've been back testing daily levels and dropping into the 1 hour to find out the turning points, but you have trouble reading when price is in the 1 hour. So if we're looking at a daily supply, because I always talk about it in my videos, like, oh, okay, we're sitting in daily supply, I'm gonna wait for confirmation. I'm just waiting for price to show me like a big move down, telling me that price is respecting it, and then I try to catch a pullback. So if this was like a candle, oops, let me remove that. We're spending a lot of time on this guy. So if price gave a big drop down, removed all the supply, I might try to look for a pullback and then get short up in here. That's what I mean by confirmation, telling me that the sellers are just getting right in right away. Now, as for my euro yen, that was a set and forget trade, because if you think about it, we were sitting, let me change this. This is a good lesson, guys. You gotta stay with me, because I explained this in my analysis. We were in a downtrend. We were sitting in daily supply. I did take a set and forget trade where I just straight up sold, and I sold right up here. It's a nice level. It was at the very extreme of my higher time frame. I took the sell here. My first target was around here, and then I got stopped out on this pullback back up. I had my second target down here, and I think I got stopped out somewhere around here with this pullback or this pullback. But I took it because we were in a daily downtrend, and I took this. It was at the very end. If it's going to break that daily supply, then we just changed the trend from a downtrend to a sideways market, and that takes a lot of money to do that. So I took the aggressive approach, and I just took a set and forget, and I just took the trade right here. But if I wanted to wait for price to turn, I might have not gotten an opportunity to get short. So like this was a trade that I waited for, New Zealand USD. This was a higher time frame trade setup I took. We were sitting in monthly demand, drop base rally. I think I did an analysis on this. It was tested, so price came down and again. I wanted to wait for a confirmation trade. I took it on the daily because I knew we were sitting in monthly demand. Yeah, we saw price turning. So if we had like momentum line or anything like that, just a general momentum line, be something like that, we broke it. We also removed supply. That told me that the buyers were stepping in on my entry time frame. This is the same thing if I was taking it on the 1 hour. Same confirmation setup. Price came in, touched it, turned out. Right? First target was somewhere around here, and then second target was here. So that one was out. That was a win. And I think I answered that one for you. So that's what I mean by confirmation trade setups. Back testing. Yeah, so that's what I mean when I see price coming into my daily level, I'll drop into a smaller time frame. That's just multiple time frame analysis. I could go into a full tips video on that, but that's a rough idea about what I do. That's just telling me. All right, anyways, let's go. This is from Twitter. This is from Kenny, my man. Hey, what are your thoughts on pound yen? I don't know. Let's find out. I have no idea. I look at so many charts, I just kind of forget what they look like. You never gave me a time frame to look at, so we could do like weekly and all that. So pound yen, I would see fresh supply up in this area. This is probably a monthly supply too. And it's a rally-based drop. It hasn't removed anything because of this long wick. As for monthly demand, I would draw it out like that. So I'm sure you're going to have some sellers up here. On the weekly time frame, you have this supply up here, and looks like you have some supply up here, right above it. And clearly we're in a downtrend. I'd put it at this long wick has opened up the profit margin. Prices never would have gone this far without removing every single buy order. There was like $1 billion right here, and there was only like 500 million sell orders. Well, prices would have stopped right in the middle here and turned up. So that means all the sellers were selling, and there was not a single buyer. Well, there were buyers here, but there was a large enough. That's when the sellers got exhausted. That's when they got out. And this is where the stack of buy orders were sitting, where enough buyers took over and completely reversed and took out all the sell orders. Now, if we were to look at the daily, this looks pretty overextended. Just we're creating supply zones, supply zones, supply zones. So how I would play this, if we're clearly in that downtrend, we're coming up in that daily supply, I would have this marked out knowing that we're sitting in daily supply, and then I would maybe look for an income trade, see what's happening on the 1 hour. Don't really see anything too interesting. You know, maybe some selling up here at the extreme. I kind of like selling at extremes, especially when I'm with the trend. But it does look very overextended right now, just creating drop, base, drop, base, drop, base, drop. Can't really go into too much detail besides that because I don't have enough information from you. All right, now let's keep going into this. Next question. Brandon, I think this is you again. Definitely sending some pics. We kind of just answered that, looking for an opportunity, waiting for confirmation. You could either take the set and forget, or you could just straight up take the trade. Wait for confirmation, I should say. Waiting for price to show you evidence that's turning and respecting it. You're going to miss out on more opportunities, but they're going to be better quality opportunities. So it's just you got to manage your trading and emotions and build your trading plan around your pros and cons, your strengths and weaknesses. Maybe you only want to be selling when the trend's down, or maybe you want to be buying when the trend's up. Maybe you don't want to take counter trends. Maybe you want to take counter trends only. Maybe you want to look for confirmation on counter trends. So there's so much to really ask yourself, and every trader's different. Some will take set and forgets outside the curve zone, outside of a higher time frame zone. Some will take it counter trends, set and forgets. So it's really up to you and about how you analyze the markets, because everybody trades a little bit differently. Keep it up. Also check out silver. There seems to be a great supply zone on the 4 hour. Let's see. Supply. Damn, this is going a lot longer than I expected. You're probably referring to this one. Let's see. It's a nice supply zone. The only thing that tells me would worry me is this wick. It's making it a lot bigger. Let's see where we're located. On the 4 hour. So we don't have supply till up here. Demand. It's not the best demand, but you do have buying down here. Let's see the weekly. Yeah, you got some weekly, but I don't like how I would draw my weekly zones would be like that, and it's been removed. I talked about this in my gold analysis in my other video about how it was a stop hunt. I think it was a stop hunt. Prices broke out. It was on gold that I was talking about. But I like this. Even in this daily, it's now showing daily supply here because we removed this demand down here. It's definitely a place I would look for selling opportunities. You could see price dropped, removed all this demand. It's an interesting area to be looking for selling opportunities. I 100% agree. Let's keep going. Are you going long USD Mexican? No, but I like that trade. USD Mexican, we were sitting in demand, monthly demand right here. It was telling me we should be looking for buys. Weekly, we removed it. We're coming up into weekly demand right now. We're in a daily uptrend too. So I was talking about this zone right here, but the reason I wouldn't get into it is I do not like holding trades for 60 days, and I think that would be my entry, and that would be my stop loss area if I was in this. And your first target wouldn't be till like literally up here till this supply. And I just have a feeling it doesn't move that much. It does move. It moves a lot of pips, but it would take many days for price to get way up here. And I hate holding my trades longer than 2 weeks. I fucking hate it. I can't do it. Because I spend too much time on the computers, and if I was like doing another job working, depending on how much time I have to look at the charts, then I would change my trading strategy around. Like if I was working a full-time job, having a wife and kids, well, you don't have the opportunity to be looking at day trades and stuff like that. So for myself, I look at day trades a lot and smaller swing trades, maybe for a couple days, maybe a week, up to a week, maximum 2 weeks. And then I usually want to get out because I just spend so much time from my computer. But if I wasn't and I only had like 1 hour a day, I know lots of people that spend 1 hour a day. They scan it in the morning and then at night, and they set their orders. And they would have no problem holding this because they got other shit to do. But as for me, I don't have other shit to do. They got other shit. I don't have other shit to do. So I don't want to be holding this position. But right now, if I was trading it, also another thing is it's an exotic pair for me. But if I was to be looking for a trade right now, I'd be looking for day trades, and I would be waiting for this to get all removed. I was watching it on 1 hour to see if there was going to get a signal. I was going to wait for this to be removed, and then I would say, yeah, I think it's a good time to get long. But I think this right here was holding price. Drop, base, drop, base, drop. We removed one. But I see this a lot, saying if you see like a level like this, you want to see that get removed and then catch the pullback. All right, let's keep going. Scanning, great, awesome, EJ. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I have some other questions too. Some on Instagram, let me pull them up. My question, how do you define trend? Dude, there's so many ways to define trend. You could literally put on, some people describe trend as Bollinger Bands, EMAs. If they're up, that means that's an uptrend. Fibonacci, like there's literally thousands of ways to determine what trend is. And you ask, literally, you get 100 traders in this room, you ask them what the trend is right now, half of them are going to say sideways. If you go like that, half are going to say like sideways, half are going to say up, and probably like half are going to like, that math makes no sense, but you know, they're going to be split up to like say half are down, up, and half are sideways, 33%. So if you were to say like this, what's the trend? I'm sure some people would say up because they're only looking maybe at their EMA, a shorter time frame EMA, maybe Fibonacci's, maybe like loop-de-loops. I have no idea what they're looking at. Maybe they're looking at chart patterns. Maybe they're just drawing trend lines down. So it's really up to you. Everybody's different. You just got to make sure you're consistent. As for me, I would declare this honestly like sideways. Right? We kind of removed one supply up here. I'd declare all this one supply. If you wanted to, you could declare it two. And the way I would see this momentum coming down. Some people would draw it like that, just like the analysis. I'm not good at drawing trend lines or shit like that. Everybody draws them a bit different. Some people will be like that. You know, some people will have them like this, saying, oh, we broke the momentum line, now we have demand. Oh, this is too demand, so now we're in an uptrend. But this momentum line's still intact. So you've really got to be picky about how you define trend. But if I was to define trend here, I would define it uptrend. I would say, hey, we can draw an upward momentum line. We've removed supply. I would declare this an uptrend, waiting for price to come back into this demand. And then I would look for buys. But then you also got to ask yourself, well, what's the trend? Well, what time frame are you looking at? If we're in an uptrend, this goes back to multiple time frame analysis. If we're in an uptrend on the daily, this is probably in a supply zone. So here on the weekly, we're in a downtrend. I would call this a downtrend. This is where people always get confused. This is a common thing. So if we have these two supply zones right here, rally-based drop and a drop-based drop, I would be looking at this saying, hey, we're in a downtrend. But on the daily, we're in an uptrend. So what the hell do? You know, that's where it comes down to. Are you a daily trader, daily income trader, or a weekly income trader? Are you looking for longer term swings? Because then do you really care what the daily trend's going to be on your daily chart? You shouldn't really. In order for price to come back up into a weekly supply zone, on the smaller time frames like the daily and the 4 hour, you're going to have that 4 hour daily uptrend up into weekly supply. Because in order for price to come back up into weekly supply, that means price has to turn on the smaller time frames. So you can see price came up and turned on the smaller time frames and came up into supply, right? So you've got to ask yourself what time frame you're looking at. So in supply and demand, you know, some people say, hey, I want like 2 zones removed and I'll call it an uptrend, or maybe I want higher highs and higher lows to determine it. But it's really up to you, and you've really got to be consistent with it. So I have 2 rules based on how I determine an uptrend and 2 rules how I determine a downtrend, right? And if it's neither of those 2, then I would declare it a sideways market. But if I ask somebody else, they'd be like, no, it's a downtrend. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just how they view the market. Maybe they have, you know, indicators. And there's nothing wrong with indicators having on your charts, but just make sure you're consistent with those indicators, and make sure you use supply and demand as your main market timing, as my mentor would call it. The guy that taught me, he says you make sure that your supply and demand is your main market system, your main market timing system. And then use indicators as a confluence and an extra probability thing. So next question, he said, how do you mark zones? Honestly, I don't even want to answer that, man. Go back and watch my tips video. That one was very good. I always direct people when they ask me. I thought I covered it pretty well. How do I know which zones are strong? That's a good question. Well, I look at the quality in the drop. It was a daily chart. This is a nice zone. I think it's a drop-based drop. Big move out, strong move. This is telling me that price is, you know, big drop out and it closed very strong. That told me there was enough sellers that came all the way down and held it. So next time price comes back up into it, I'm trying to look for selling positions in it. Or you could take the whole level if you really wanted to, but I choose not to do that. But there's also lots of other ways you can determine it, like how long did price stay at this level? How far did it drop? Did it remove other zones? There's so many different ways to determine if it's a quality level. And what I would really look for is how far did it move and how strong did it move. That's what I would recommend, because you don't really want... So if we were to look at like silver, if we had a rally-based rally right here, this candle was not... Let's just remove this. This was a rally-based rally. If we call it a rally-based rally, it really didn't close well. It closed pretty weak. You can see how price at one time was all the way up here. And then it came down and closed. That's telling me that the suppliers or the buyers never could hold that position, that strength, and price got rejected. So that tells me that it's not a very good demand zone. So that's what I have to say about quality. There's lots of quality things that you could go into your zone. Did it respect the move? Did it stay away? What did it break? Where is it sitting on the higher time frames? What's the trend? There's so many things that go into it. And it's not just as simple as here's a supply zone, here's a demand zone. That's when I do my multiple time frame analysis with you guys. It confuses a lot of people. All right, what is money management? Ooh, that's a good one. How I would do it is, well, if I was taking a counter trend, this is different for everybody. I know some people that like to move their stops up to break even after 1-to-1. So after price, so let's go to my EJ. So here was the trade I was in. So I know some people that would move their stop up to after 1-to-1, price leaves 1-to-1, and then they move their stops up to break even, and they do that because, and I do that, it's because I fucking hate when, sorry for my swearing everybody, but I hate it when price goes down to 1-to-1, then it comes back and blows through my zone. So I'd rather protect myself, move my stops up to break even. It's just based on my strengths and weaknesses. I don't like losing in trading, so I'd rather be protective, secure that money, and protect my capital. So if prices move 1-to-1, comes back. If it comes back, it stops me out. But then also sometimes I see a price come back in, test it again, and it just completely shoots down, and I miss out on that. But for the people that waited for maybe 2-to-1 and wanted to move their break even at 2-to-1 at their first target, they would have continued in this trade and won it. They would have done very well. And maybe if this price came back up like here, if it did, I would have gotten stopped out. And the people that held their stop loss waiting for the 2-to-1 move to happen, they would still be in it and they would get that winning trade. I see it all the time where I get burned and they hold it and they wait for that test again and then it drops. I get burned by that, but also they get burned if a price moves 1-to-1 and comes back and blows through. I see it happen all the time, but I also see it happen all the time where it drops. That's just managing your emotions in trading, because if I do that and I lose 3 trades in a row, I get pissed off, right? So for them, they'll give that an extra wiggle room. They have confidence in their trade. As for me, I just don't want to deal with it. I've been burned too many times by waiting. Maybe it's based on how I trade. Very could well be. But it's how I manage my emotions while trading. That's one particular way. And now another way would be how much you're going to be risking on your trade. So maybe 1 to 2%, 3% a trade. For any big ballers out there, they want to be risking 5 maybe percent. It's really up to you. So maybe you're taking a counter trend. So if we were looking at EJ on the daily chart, if we know this is a counter trend trade, for me I would say this is counter trend. This is an uptrend, I would call it. If we had this supply zone and we're in an uptrend on the daily, well, do I really want to be putting a max risk on? Right? Do I want to be putting a 5% or 3% trade on? No, probably not, because I'm going against the trend. I'm going against the money, and I probably want to wait for confirmation. But if I was taking this trade like on EJ, I was with the trend in the daily downtrend, and I was selling it, trying to catch that next impulsive big move down, like how it's been doing. So maybe I feel comfortable. I will take a bigger risk, or I'll let my stops I'll let price move 2-to-1, and then I'll move my stops. Or I could wait for confirmation, and then that will tell me that it's a better probability chance. I'm going to have less trades if I wait for confirmation, but it's going to be a better probability chance, so maybe that's where I risk more too. But if I'm taking a set and forget trade where I'm just selling at that zone, well, I probably want to manage my risk and not put a massive risk on, right? This all depends on you. I can't tell you. This is where you got to ask yourself what type of trader you are. How much time do you have? Are you looking at the daily income trades? Are you looking at weekly swing trades? It's really up to you, and I don't think anybody can tell you how much to risk, because everybody's emotions to money is different. But that's how I would manage it. And then you got to ask yourself, how are you going to manage it once price is down here? And you have your final target like I had it here. How are you going to manage it? Are you going to leave your stop all the way up here, and then price return all the way back after it's moved 4-to-1 and stop you out at break even on your second entry? That's going to piss you off, right? So maybe what I do is you do lower lows and lower highs, you connect it with the next supply zone. So, you know, as price is dropping, I'll drop my supply. If I had my stop here, price dropped down, rallied up, I would have been saved, and price dropped down, so maybe I drop my price down to that, right? And then maybe here I saw maybe a supply zone, so maybe I drop it down to that. And then you're just trying to continue that trend down because we know we're sitting in that higher time frame zone. So I can't tell you what to do. That's completely up to you and based on your money management and how you manage your trading emotions. And that's going to take time. There's no way you can figure it out in like a week of trading or a month, even a month of trading. Like it's something you find out over time about what strategy you're trading and how you're going to manage your emotions. Damn, I went into detail on that. I think that's it. That's all he sent me. Okay, and another thing I want to talk about is these guys that fucking message me on Instagram, man. For those fuckers that I saw one guy message me, and I got this actually like 3 messages over the past 2 weeks. Is the Instagram fuckers, and I hate going on Instagram. If you have Instagram, God, stay the fuck away from that shit. Because I hate it. There are so many goddamn scammers out there that message you or just post on every single forex lifestyle, forex stock trading, wanting like, oh, I was a losing trader until Dolphin Lover 69 came in and taught me how to binary trade options. Now I made my $100 account turn into $36,000. Like, come on, guys. These guys are fucking everywhere, and if you're buying signals, it's the worst fucking mistake. They never do well. And you look at their account, they turn successful after like 1 or 2 months. They think they're successful, and then they start selling their signals, or most of them are not even successful. They're just trying to sell you their signals. You should be learning how to trade, not buying signals. I understand it's a trap that new traders get into. I'm very lucky that I never fell into that trap because I was aware getting into trading that people just sell courses and sell signals and they have no idea how to trade, and they do very well for themselves. So it's a lot easier to sell than trade. Another thing, you see those goddamn posts with their everything can be fake. This is what pisses me off. I was so rattled the other night that I couldn't go to bed. There's posts like people will say like, oh, show results. I see some people like not for me, but like on other posts, show your results. But like literally every fucking results can be faked. There's guys like Timothy Sykes. That guy is a very good penny stocks trader, and he shows his results, and still people still call him out fake, saying it's bullshit. You can see how he edited it. Man, everything is fake nowadays. Every single thing can be faked. You see some guys posting their Instagram trades of 5 trades. Look how much I'm up, and they're all in like $13,000 in profit or $1 million in profit each, and they got in the same goddamn pair 5 times. They have all their entries at the exact same price, and all their targets are at the exact same price. So it's just like, yeah, if you want to have a winning picture and you want to post an Instagram picture, yeah, you just take the same goddamn trade. On one account you push buy, on the other account you push sell 5 times on each. And whenever one makes money, you just post that picture, and then they just prey on the insecure that have no idea how to trade or are in a losing system right now and lose hope. Those are the people that buy it, and they get jumped in, trapped, and they go through the whole cycle in the loopy-loop again. Man, like I would even have people message me saying they have no idea how to trade. They're fucking horrible. And they would send me chart analysis asking for help. They're struggling. They're like literally crying to me on the phone. I wouldn't call them, but you could fucking see they're sending me voice messages. They're like fucking very upset. They're out 20 grand. They're down money. And these guys are literally selling signals at the same time. It's so embarrassing. And they're asking me to partner with them. There's no way I would partner with that. There's no way I'm getting into the signal service business. These guys are just preying on the weak, trying to just make an extra couple bucks by scamming people. And I think a lot of people get scammed in this, and they realize, they go through the loopy loops, the bunny holes, and they try to figure out. And I think the best way is to actually find a mentor that actually knows what the fuck he's doing and get into a group that's all trading the same strategy. Because if you get into a goddamn free chat room or anything that don't trade the same strategy, then you're going to be butting heads with people saying you're an idiot for not trading this strategy, or you're an idiot because this EMA was crossing this. You've really got to find a group that you trade the exact same not same strategy, but same system area, like supply and demand, where they actually respect each other. I think that's very important, and to actually have a mentor that knows what the hell he's doing, and you can bounce questions off each other, and then people have the same questions, and then we can learn from that. So maybe something like that in the future. Not in any time in the next month or so, or 2 months. I don't see for me. But just you got to be careful with those guys. They send pictures. I asked him, "Oh, what happened to your other trades?" Like, I had to close it I had to close my losing position so people wouldn't see my losing position. Like, it's so embarrassing, guys. Now I'm just raging. I'm just going on and on now because I hate talking about it, but I also love talking about it. Let's call it that. Let's call it a wrap. Maybe we could do this again in a couple months. Feel free to send me messages or anything like that. I'll respond to them. And thanks very much, guys. Cheers.